Hi, it's Lavon. If this is the first time you're visiting my channel, let me tell you that I live in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and I have a store called La Vintage Decor. I paint furniture and do in-home design, as well as rustic bridal and event rentals. So today I'm working on this china cupboard that I've had for a couple years, and this has seen much better days. So I'm going to take an inspection tour of it, and you'll see in the front that the veneer is peeling. It's solid wood, but still that's chipped somehow. I don't know whether to call it veneer or not. You can see there's paint splatters on it, which will affect the texture of it. Somebody had put screws in on the side panel here, which isn't too attractive. And when you look down at the bottom, it's missing a whole chunk of wood. So that's not cool. I was considering removing the entire panel to repair it. That was, I took the screws out and the piece stayed in, so then I started thinking of some other options. The piece on the back was like a piece of paneling, so it's kind of got a smooth surface. They had contact paper on it before, but the back is kind of like masonite. So you can see down at the bottom that it has some texture issues because it must have sat in some water a little bit because it peeled. And you can see the lovely contact paper on the shelves down below the cabinet and also in the drawers. So there's another look at, lo and behold, when I was working on in the inside of the cabinet, that little piece of wood I found. So I replaced that. And then here's what I'm going to do to repair it. This was my bright idea. Right now I'm using modeling material, and I'm just, that's from Redesign by Prima. And I just was, after I replaced that piece of wood, all that was left to fill was a small area. So I thought, why not make a shape out of that in there? So my intention was to pull it out and let it dry and then put it back in. And then maybe use to seal up the edges after it shrunk, because the modeling material will shrink a little bit. So I kept working with it, and it actually kind of stayed in there. So I did pull a few pieces away, which you'll see, and I did use some glue with it. So it is glued in there. So the front part, the part that goes to the front piece, is glued, and then towards the back I just kept smoothing that. And then later on in the process, it got very much like paper. So I did these repairs first and then went to clean it. So it kind of started peeling. So the back is going to get glued again. So if that makes sense, it's like paper, and I'm just going to kind of put some glue in there. It doesn't matter how beautiful the back of the piece is, right? But I did actually seal the back of the piece, so there is some paint on the back of the piece as well. In talking about the texture on this piece, the reason why I'm doing this kind of crazy patch job is because I decided normally I would go at this piece with some Dixie Belle mud and try to fill in where that, I'll call it veneer, but it's chipped, is missing in the front doors. But you know, I learned a technique when I was at the retailers conference, the Dixie Belle paint conference, and I think I'm going to try sea spray on this piece, Dixie Belle's sea spray. It's a texture additive. So I'm going to be working with that to add some texture to this piece that will really help disguise the texture that's already in this piece, just by virtue of what has happened to it. So I'm just taking the glue here, and I'm just using tacky glue from Aleene's. A good glue to use is, I find this helpful. You know, I've used it different times. There's certainly a lot of glues out there that you can use. Tight Bond Thick and Quick is a good one, especially when you're working on vertical surfaces. If you're gluing things on like molds, it won't slide down your piece. I was ready here with some tape to hold this on, but it really just wasn't necessary. So this piece just fit in beautifully and kind of really helped me out. So I continued that patching. Then I did let that dry a while, and I began some work on the drawers, which you'll see. So as I mentioned, I was able to get the contact paper out of the drawers. So I'm gonna use, normally I would use Big Mama's butter and freshen up those drawers, but I think because of the fact that there was paint spattered on the tops of the drawers, so there's what it looks like, that I decided I'm going to use the Boss, which is designed, it's Dixie Belle's Boss, and it's designed for blocking odors and stains. So I'm playing around with this, just looking at what hardware do I want to use. I had something in my mind originally when I first met this piece, but then I kind of started thinking with the texture that I was going to go in a farmhouse direction. So I started playing around with this. So I cleaned it, and look how dirty. It's terrible how dirty it was, but I used White Lightning to clean it. And now I'm taking the Boss and an angled brush, an angled Dixie Belle mini brush that's angled, and it's perfect for painting inside these drawers. And like I said, there was some paint that got splattered on the drawers, so that's why I'm choosing to paint them. And I wanted to just make sure that they were going to stay odor free, so that's why I'm using Dixie Belle's Boss. So it comes in white and it comes in clear. I could have easily used white for this, but I just happened to have a clear open. But the difference would be if you were going to distress a piece of furniture and you wanted to see the wood come through, you could use the clear. That way it's going to come through. You only have to go through your layer of paint, your color, and you'll see the natural wood, but it's still sealed with the Boss. So this is a great product, and literally it took me probably less than 5 minutes to do these drawers. I forgot to put my silence on and got a text message there, so please ignore that. But you'll see how easy and how quick it is to do these drawers. There was one other drawer, it was a long one, and I will be using this also on the inside of the cabinet as well. And again, it just takes a few minutes, but it's an extra step that will make sure that this piece just smells nice and fresh. So you're giving it a whole new lease on life here, and this is a critical step. It's not just how it looks on the outside, but somebody doesn't want to get a piece of furniture that every time they open the drawer it has a musty smell. So I started to paint, and I chose Bunker Hill Blue, and my plan is to paint first and then add a layer of texture. So I'll be sharing that with you. And after I paint this, then I will show you, because I started to go in a different direction based on my original plans for the piece when I first saw it. So I have to admit, I thought I had a clear direction as to what I was doing. I almost sketched it out, and I didn't. And now I kind of wish I had, but sometimes you just kind of go with what your instincts tell you step by step, which is what we're all about here on Step by Step. So I'm going to keep you posted, but basically I got a coat of the Bunker Hill Blue on the entire outside, and then this is the piece that I did at the conference, and that's the texture. So I'm gonna play with that, and here's what I ended up with, and it seems like it's miles away from that. So the pivotal question, what color, what's next? So thank you so much for watching, and please comment and share and subscribe to the channel so you can find out what happens next week, because every Saturday at 4 o'clock we have a step-by-step video. So you can visit on my website, which is lavintagedecor.company, and also on Instagram we're Lavintage Decor, and on Facebook we're Lavintage Decor Altoona. So thanks so much. Have a great day.